Viltrox has released the final lens in its 4 prime lens setup that are all f1.8. So today we're going to see, does the 35mm compare and perform well like its siblings? And ultimately, should you be getting all 4 of these lenses for your videography work? Let's find out. Hey everybody, Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker here, where the answers comes first, the reasons come last, but we're constantly and always still learning. I want to thank Viltrox for sending me out this 35mm f1.8 for Sony so that I can perform this review today. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Coming in at $379, we see a nice similar design to all the other Viltrox lenses. There is a nice focus ring with a 270-degree focus throw and an aperture adjustment ring that can be set manually or automatically through the camera body. Now I'm happy to report that we still have the mapped out focus wheel, allowing us to repeat focus no problem. When it comes to autofocus, with its initial firmware, we see that it performs quite well and keeps up with me as I walk towards the camera. Now, looking at the test again, if you take a look at the right side of the frame, the side of this house, I don't really see much focus breathing as I get closer to the camera. The little focus breathing that is there is not distracting enough, in my opinion. Next up, let's take a look at the flares. It again performs very similarly in terms of you don't really see a whole lot of orbs and you get that loss of contrast when you get a direct source blasting at it. And when you get to the extreme edges, you'll get that one singular burst. Now, I'm not a photographer and I no longer have the A7 III, so here are some 12 megapixels blown up from my A7S III. And it's the same story in that it's decently sharp and gets sharper as you stop down. Now, it might not be the sharpest 1.8 in the world for photographers, but for video, it is more than enough. Vignetting is present wide open if you're shooting in photography with a 3:2 ratio, and when you go down to a 16:9, we see a little bit, and of course it clears up as you stop down the lens. Lastly, if we take a look at the bokeh, we do see that onion ring effect. The only Viltrox lens that does not have this effect is the 85mm version 2. So what's the bottom line here? The bottom line is the Viltrox 35mm performs exactly the way I expected it to with its family of prime lenses. And when it really comes down to it, I have to say that yes, I do recommend the entire Viltrox lineup because they're so similar with each other. You get good autofocus on a Sony full frame system, and you can do manual focus and you can repeat it no matter what, which is great. That's what we want. But not only that, we have this nice long focus throws, which makes it very easy for you to pull focus and get very critical and smooth transitions versus nonlinear, which is going to go crazy. So when it comes to those features, this is all good news for videographers. For photographers, on the wide open end, it is a little soft, and of course some chromatic aberration is going to come through. But for filmmakers specifically, this slight lack of edge sharpness is really not that big of a deal because everything is moving and it's going to look sharp in motion. So for photographers, you might have a more specific critical note on these lenses, but for videographers, these are perfectly fine. Last but not least, these lenses are also quite compact. They're not very big, which means for people that are going to be flying these on gimbals, you're in luck. You're not going to have to try to use a whole bunch of counterweight systems because chances are your Sony camera is more than heavy enough to keep everything on the base, and therefore you're not going to knock into anything when it comes to using it on a gimbal or just stabilizing it. If you are thinking about buying these set of lenses, I would highly suggest that you actually buy them from the Viltrox store because I do have a 10% coupon for you, TLDR Filmmaker, and if you're going to buy all 4 of them, save 10% on the entire purchase. So that's going to definitely help you guys out and save a couple of bucks. Now, we'll be doing a follow-up review on this entire system because I have used them in little various projects, but I do have a bigger project coming up here in about a month, and I'm basically going to be shooting a dance video specifically. And I'm going to be using all the Viltrox lenses to get various shots for this edit. And once I get that done, I'll be back to let you guys know exactly how they performed. So stay tuned for that. And hey, that is it for this week, everybody. If this video has made all the influence in your purchasing decisions, I do have some affiliate links down below. Again, use the Viltrox store one because you get 10% off with the TLDR Filmmaker code. And last but not least, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave it down below. I will get to them as fast as I can. And until then, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.